Hello, welcome to Men's Health Connected. This is session 2 on Monday, the 8th of May, Mates Day. We're looking at the value of mateship to men's health, and today's session is on how action can build social connection in men. And this is the latest of a number of sessions in our mateship best practice showcase. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where we meet across Australia. I'm joining you today from central Queensland, where the traditional owners in this area are the Bunda Bunda, the Gureng, the Gurang, and the Bailai people. So we've got a great session lined up. For those of you who don't know, I'm Glenn Poole, CEO of the Australian Men's Health Forum. We've just got out of a fantastic session on 2 projects that really help men connect heart to heart. And we're going to talk about a few projects today where there's a bit more connection initially on men connecting shoulder to shoulder through action. But I'm sure there's a bit of heart to heart connection there too, but we'll find out all about that. We have Billy from the Penrith Walk and Talk. We have Lance from Solid Men. But first, to kick us off, a bit more from my neck of the wood, and a man I'm looking forward to joining on one of his adventures one day soon. It's Wayne from Inner Man Adventures. Over to you, Wayne.
Thank you all. I really appreciate the time that you've all made to come and join part of this session, and to the opportunity to come and share and be part of this great men's work that we see across Australia. I'm joining you today from Gladstone, just up the road from you, Glenn. And however, I'm normally based in Brisbane on Quandamooka country. I'll just attempt to share my screen with you. All right, wonderful. Inner Man Adventures began in, is that sharing? Yes, it is. Excellent. Inner Man Adventures began into 2021, and it was born out of an idea that this is not, I'm sorry, having some technical difficulties. My screen is not changing. Why is that not sharing?
We can
there
see
we go.
the slides. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, I was born out of the idea that therapy and connection, especially amongst men, does not need to happen inside a 4-walled room. I went through a bit of a dark time myself, and went to counselling, and a little bit of time after that, I decided to actually go and study counselling for myself. Part of that, I just realised, look, men don't necessarily need to do this stuff inside a 4-walled room. There's better ways to do this. Some of the statistics there that you can see, I'm sure you're all aware of that. The statistics around male suicide in Australia. Some other statistics there around adventure-based activities are highly attracted to males, and American studies showed that 68% of adventure tourism participants are males. So they are dominantly attracted to adventure. 4-wheel drives, because this is what we do within Inner Man Adventures as well. 4-wheel drives is now the most populated vehicle insurance category in Australia. So they are now highly sought after all over Australia. And the visits to national parks right across Australia, overnight visits, is increasing exponentially. You can see that little graph there on the side there. Northern Territory and Tasmania are actually the most visited national parks in across Australia. A few photos of what we do. Essentially, the idea is that we take men away for a weekend adventure. Starts on a Friday night, goes through to a Sunday afternoon, and it's quite a constructed weekend, although to them it feels a little bit relaxed. Friday night is just sitting around the fire, getting to know each other, sharing some stories. The following day, we head out and hit the tracks, spend some time out in the bush. Inevitably, somebody's car will break down, or somebody will get bogged. We need to help each other out, and all of these things and all these experiences that we have out on the track on the day all go to contributing to building the relationship with each other amongst the men, and also to for them to feel safe and feel comfortable. And we actually draw on all of these experiences on our Saturday night program. So Saturday night is generally, we do some circle work around the campfire. The guys might have a couple of beers, that's okay, but we keep that in moderation. But it's great for guys to come around, they sit around the campfire and we actually start sharing, and we run through a little bit of circle work. And for many men, it's actually the very first time they've ever had the opportunity to look inwards, see inside themselves, and even consider some of the things that are going on in their lives. I had one man come up to me one time and say, I can't believe I've been holding on to that for 17 years. That's been affecting me so much. So it's a great opportunity for men to, they actually develop that trust and develop that sense of safety, so that over the weekend, by the time Saturday night comes, they're in that place and they feel a little bit more at ease to share with each other some of the things that are going on in life. We follow similar principles. We talked this morning with, I heard the guys from Men's Table, and we follow similar principles about safety and confidentiality and those sorts of things. And it just provides the way for men to share in a way that they perhaps hadn't had the opportunity to ever do that before in their lives. Sunday morning, we then follow that up with some, well, what now? Sometimes they might sit with some of that uncomfortableness overnight, and then Sunday morning we actually sit down and we talk about what are the things that have affected us each individually, and where do we go to from here? Who are the people we can reach out to? Essentially, you know, not just recognizing that we can do this outside and not inside the four walls, but it's actually a link for many men who have been afraid to in the past, or had no idea that A, mental health even existed, B, what do I do when I discover something going on in my life, and what can I do about it? It essentially provides a connection or an experience for men to go, actually, it's okay to be a little bit vulnerable. It's okay to be, you know, to look inside myself and to connect with myself. You know, nature is just such a wonderful place to connect and to relax in. And it just provides such a beautiful environment for men to just sit back and actually look inside. And it's a great opportunity for them to do that. I got a couple of quotes from a cast. I asked a couple of guys if they wouldn't mind sharing their experience of mateship that we do across the weekend. This is from one of our recent attendees. I recently went on a Drive and Thrive weekend and was a little hesitant as I knew nobody. Within minutes of meeting the other men, I felt connected and made new friendships with like-minded men in similar situations in life. And that's a big thing, similar situations in life. A lot of men think that they're the only ones going through what they're going through. When they come and find out that, hey, I'm not the only one that's struggling in life. We all actually, you know, share some of that together. Some of whom I've been in close contact with since, and we check in on each other all the time. The activities run by Inner Men Adventures was cleansing for the soul and mind, and I left inspired, refreshed, more positive in life, and feeling supported from new friendships formed. And this man here, he and I stay in contact quite regularly, and I know that he is making, you know, continuing on with relationships with the other men that he made friends with over the weekend. Another one here, too often chip is only skin deep. When the chips are down, too many men don't know how to ask for help. Inner Men Adventures creates a space that invites men to build deeper relationships for both themselves and each other, allowing much stronger bonds of mateship to occur. Bonds that continue well after the weekend is over. And this is from a man in our group that actually continues. He came to our second weekend and he's come to every single camp ever since. He enjoys it for himself, and every time he comes, he brings a mate along with him. And I hear comments going back from the partners and from the wives of these men, just saying, "I can't believe, you know, what's happened. I don't know what you do there, but it's great. I got a new man back." So that's really good to hear the changes that are coming in, but you know, just seeing these men reaching out and bringing other friends along, and it's just great to see that happen time and time again. Last one here. Yeah, I came across Intermen Adventures and was looking for some blokes with similar interests. I've gained so much more. I now have a few mates I can reach out to, and they can call on me too. This gentleman here, he literally was lonely, and he was just looking for somewhere to connect. And he saw an ad pop up on Facebook and decided to come along. And he absolutely loves it. He spreads the word everywhere he goes. And he's stayed in contact with quite a few guys from the different trips that he's been on. I hear stories about how much they share with their lives, they share with each other and help each other out. And it's just great to hear that, you know, there is so much happening beyond the simple weekend, and that it continues to have some impact in their lives. If you'd like to jump on and have a look at our website, there's some details there. One of our little mottos there is getting out, looking in. So yeah, absolutely love getting out in the country and spending that time to look in. And that's really what we do. It's what our focus is. The little slogan down the bottom there, the guys that do the mental health stuff, that came about. We went to a full drive show there and had a display, and some guys came up and kind of recognized us and just said, "Oh, you're the guys that do the mental health stuff." Sometimes that's just the easiest way to explain it to some people. What do you do? Well, we just do mental health stuff. Come along and find out. It's something you really have to experience. Shot from our recent trip to Moreton Island. That was really well supported. We actually had the guys needed to take 2 days off work, and we did a 4-day weekend. And they all came over, and yeah, we had an absolute blast on that weekend. Part of our circle work is around I hear you, allowing men to share and to be heard. Because we had an extra couple of nights on here, we did another session called I see you, where each man had the opportunity to stand up and say, "I see you, I see into your heart, I see you as you truly are." And that came out of their experience and the friendships that they developed even just over that short period of time. And what an amazing night that was. And the guys still comment on that even now. So yeah, so that was it. That's kind of a bit of a wrap up. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of some of what we do.
Great work. Thanks, Wayne. Beautifully timed as well. So we've got a bit of time for questions or comments and feedback. I know Thomas and Lester particularly were jumping in and cheering you on as you were speaking. Either of them are very welcome to share their feedback in terms of what they got from that talk. But yeah, anyone want to jump in or got any questions?
Sounds like my group, Wayne.
Excellent.
You guys got any presence in Penrith in New South Wales?
At the moment, we're based in southeast Queensland. So, but hey, I'll travel anywhere.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Norman, for the walking question. Anyone else want to jump in? Just knock your mic off and jump in if you want to. Dennis?
Yeah, this is Dennis Barber. Yeah, you said that you could do it anywhere. Can you export this to the United States? Do you know of any groups in the United States that are doing similar work?
No, I don't. It could easily be exported. It just needs to have somebody that would like to take it up and push it out, and has some some skills and some knowledge, and we can work together to put something together.
Great. I'll be in touch.
Excellent. Thanks, Dennis.
Right, and Dennis, this is all about networking. So I grant you 15 seconds to tell us who you are. I know who you are, but most people probably don't.
I'm the president of the Partnership for Male Youth. We're a United States-based organization. We focus on the healthcare of males between the ages of 10 and 25.
Fantastic. And I've
Excellent.
posted a link in the chat box to your organization, Dennis. And if you do nothing else, I encourage you to sign up to Dennis's excellent newsletter, which will be very relevant to anyone who's interested in men's health, particularly younger men's health.
Thank you.
I've got a question, Wayne. I guess with the four-wheel drive and the sort of the stereotype of the typical four-wheel drive bloke, what type of guys are you attracting? Are you attracting men who've done lots of sort of inner work and also like to drive, or you're attracting lots of blokes who like to drive and have done no inner work, or is it somewhere between the two, or a mix? What's your typical inner man bloke?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a mix, but it is the typical is a guy who does forward driving and has never seen anything, any kind of men's work, has never done any circle work, never had any exposure to anything like that. And yeah, that's the kind of the typical guys that come along. They do tend to be around the middle age kind of age bracket, you know, the 35 to 55 kind of age bracket. We did have one weekend though where we had some father sons come along, and that was just brilliant to see the relationships develop with them as well.
Fantastic, Wayne. Yeah, I guess it must be like stepping into a whole new world for some of those blokes.
Absolutely. Their eyes and hearts are generally opened quite well. Yes.
Yeah, we love health by stealth. Come for the 4-wheel driving and stay for the circle.
I'm very open about what we do. I do not hide the mental health side that we do. I had someone ask me once, how do you promote this to men who don't want to do it? So I just tell them exactly what we do. The guys that we get along are guys that want to find out about it, and they're the guys that I want.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting for a minute that you were being duplicitous in any way, Wayne, or tricking men into it. But yeah, I'm sure until you can explain it all you want, but until they actually experience it, they've no idea what it was going to be.
100%.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool. Okay, we're getting close to time. Has anyone got any last sort of bits of feedback or questions they have for Wayne? Great. Okay, thanks. Carry on chatting in the chat box, Wayne. That's excellent. I'm just 23 kilometers inland of Miriam Vale at the moment. So if you're passing by, pop in for a coffee. The kettle's on. Oh, you can't see the kettle. The kettle is on.
Will do. I'll touch base.
It's unusual for me in a large country like Australia to have someone who's talking who's just a few kilometers away. It's very, very rare for me. Not saying that I need social connection and I'm lonely, but please come and see me, someone. And yeah, we made a point at the end of the last session. The last session was very much focused on sort of like heart-to-heart, person-to-person connections in blokes. And this session is much more about, on the surface, that kind of more shoulder-to-shoulder, action-orientated way of engaging with blokes. And the big question for us is, how do those two worlds overlap? And it's really, didn't plan it this way, but it's really nicely planned the way that actually you've just presented to us exactly how these worlds can overlap in a single project. So thanks for doing that, Wayne. Actually, a final question. Actually, obviously, you know, you're doing this on a relatively small scale at the moment. In terms of increasing the access beyond, I guess, blokes who've got their own 4-wheel drives, are there ways you can take this to people who wouldn't, you know, normally be able to sort of do this kind of thing because they can't? Because I guess there's a certain money barrier with having to own a 4-wheel drive potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Every trip we have opportunity for 2 passengers to come along. I've got camping gear and that sort of thing for a couple of people to come along with me. Yeah. The other thing is that I've spoken to some other organisations about providing everything, and so some of the guys who are regulars on my trips, they're quite happy to volunteer to come along as drivers. So that we can actually, we can fit more people in and do more passengers, and we can run a weekend for a group or an organisation that might want to do that.
Fantastic, love it. Great, thanks, Wayne. Really appreciate that. It's been a great kickoff to this session. We're going to move now to thanks, Wayne. We're going to move now to Lance Rogers of Solid Men. This is a group that's focused on connecting men through exercise and physical activity. I'll let Lance explain it because he'll do a much better job than me, but it's a great honor to have you here, Lance, and I look forward to you sharing and letting us know more about the Solid Men.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, definitely a privilege to jump in on this session and try and follow up after Wayne. I think, Wayne, we've lost a member from Solid Men because Norman, who goes by Triple M, he loves 4-wheel driving and camping, so I think he'll jump ship and jump into your program very soon down in Penrith. I am going to share screen as well. Hopefully you can see my slides there, and then just kick in. So I'm just going to go through and just explain who we are, how we do things, and then just unpack a few of the pillars of Solid Men. So we've been running since March 2017. Solid Men was created just by chance. There was two friends, Nick and Sawyer, and their wives were participating in a 2-week fitness challenge to do some exercise, eat healthy, and just keep each other accountable. And when they were chatting, they asked themselves, is there something like this for the boys? And there wasn't. So they decided to get together on a Sunday morning at 4:45 a.m. and do an outdoor workout. Since that weekend, Solid Men has had a session happening every weekend since. We've migrated to Saturday mornings at 5:45, but there has not been a weekend that we've missed. Even during COVID, we adapted. We moved to doing our get-togethers via Zoom, and we still maintain the integrity of what Solid is. So we've got three key elements of what we do. We have, first of all, free peer-led workouts. We currently have workouts that happen in Warrington, in Penrith, and in Glenwood, in the Hills area. We have had some emerging locations that are on and off, including a basketball-themed one at Ropes Crossing. So free peer-led workouts every week. We run accountability chats, so they happen through a private chat on Slack, and then we also have coffee chats where the guys will just get together and then talk things through. There we go. So I've just listed our mission statement here. So it is to strengthen and equip a growing number of like-minded men with the goal of promoting physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental health. So we've got a few different areas that we're working on, but in our mission statement, the key words for us are to strengthen and to equip. So we're always looking, for ourselves and for the participants in the program to really just go for that next step. How can I improve myself? How can I be better than the man I am right now to move into tomorrow? All right, so what I'll do now is just give a breakdown of what our sessions are, because our main function, if we look at a Saturday morning 5:45, that's where it really all happens. I mentioned there was other locations that are happening. We do run workouts midweek as well on a Wednesday. We also run a run club on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning. We actually share the space with the Penrith Men's Walk and Talk. We run the same track, so I'm sure that Billy will talk a bit more about that shortly. So with our sessions, they are always outdoors. They happen all year round. Doesn't matter what season it is, doesn't matter what weather it is as well. It can be 30 degrees and flies, it can be -2 degrees and raining. We will still be outside. I mentioned that the sessions are peer-led. So we'll have different men that always bring the workout each week. Not only will they design and create a workout, but they'll also bring a word of encouragement to the group. The word of encouragement runs for about 2 to 5 minutes. It is almost always based on a piece of scripture as well. If you look at our social media and our website, we don't hide the fact that we are a Christian men's group. Almost all of the men that attend are Christian, but we are not exclusive in that regard either. We do have some men that don't attend church, but still get immense value from coming. So peer-led, bring the word of encouragement. We'll open our session in prayer. Once we've prayed, and some mornings, I'm telling you, we will need it, we get straight into the workout. We've got some video running there, so you can see the style of activities that we do. It's very much, body weight, lots of burpees. Penalty burpees apply if you show up for a session late. We've got Tom nodding right there. He knows very much about the penalty burpees, don't you, Tom? So 45 to 60 minutes, we use bricks. Sometimes we just carry each other. And then once that's done, we close the session off in prayer. Final thing to finish the session is we take a group photo, because if we didn't take a photo, then it didn't happen. After that, we'll all break off and go and grab a coffee together. And there's a saying in Solid Men that the gold is where the coffee is. So we'll all sit down together with our coffees, and every man gets an opportunity to speak. We'll have a metaphorical ball that gets passed around the table, and while you have the floor, so you can share as much as you like or as little as you like. And what we find that through the activity after we've been on the battleground shoulder to shoulder, that you know, you've really broken yourself down physically, and that really does break down the walls that allows for conversation to flow within you know, within the group. So that's effectively what our sessions look like each week. We're open to all men, all fitness abilities there. Yeah, we've got guys that run ultra marathons. You know, we've got some guys that just haven't exercised for years. There's a final photo there of a group of the guys having a coffee. I just wanted to point out the guy closest to the camera there. He's actually the dad of one of our founders. This photo was taken about 8 weeks after he'd had quite a severe stroke and had been going through a fair bit of therapy. And yeah, he'd gotten himself out of hospital. And one of the things he wanted to do is continue to keep himself physical. And he even came along and came to one of our workouts. Certainly adapted the program to suit his current ability. But yeah, it was great to have him out there. And I can tell you that morning really lifted the rest of the guys too. So I mentioned the accountability chats. We have a thing called Check-in Tuesday. So each week, the guys will check in and rate themselves in 3 areas: mindset, exercise, and nutrition. And this is something that's been happening since 2017. So MEN. Each guy will give themselves a score from 1 to 5. 1 is a low score, 5 is I'm doing things at my very best. And by doing that, you're actually keeping yourself accountable to the guys. You're putting it on paper and you're saying, hey, here's where I'm doing well and here's where I'm struggling. The other thing that we do with the accountability check-in for the Check-in Tuesdays is we have TATs, which is tiny, tickable, achievable tasks. And these are just you know, small things that you know, the guys can put forward and say, right, I want to improve my nutrition this week, so I will not eat chocolate after 8 p.m. All right, so again, putting it out there and then keeping each other accountable. So we have 3 value statements with our group. We have courage over comfort, we have check 6, and fall 7 and rise 8. Now, being mindful of the time, I don't want to go through all of them today as much as I would love to, but I did want to focus on check 6. And one thing I'll call out, yeah, even jumping on this call today, and I've asked for some support. And when I look through the participants, so I've seen many of our guys that are on this call. I've seen Chef, Mr. Ripped, Roops, Sniper, Skippy the Chippy, Triple N, Bondi, Hollywood, Major Pain. So boys, thanks for checking my 6 and making sure that you've got my back. I'll also call out Macca's, Martin Turner, who runs a similar group in Melbourne called Fitness for Blokes. Yeah, they're a group that, you know, we've come to know over the years, and we share you know, lots of ideas and encourage each other as well. So check 6, the theory comes from military and being in an aircraft, because for the Top Gun fans out there, when you're in that aircraft, your vision is a little bit limited. You can see what's in front of you. You can see to the left, you can see to the right, but the one area that you can't see is your vulnerable spot, your weak spot, which is right behind you. So check 6 gets used in a few areas with solid men. It will get called out in a workout. You know, if you've got somebody that's struggling with a particular workout or they're falling a little bit behind, the expectation is you don't just leave them there. You know, you get beside them, you pick them up and you carry them through that weak spot. But it also moves out into life. You know, we quite often talk shoulder to shoulder was the statement from earlier. Brother to the left, brother to the right, you know, and you want that brother on the left and the right, because by having them by your side, they can actually see that weak spot and that vulnerable spot for you. You know, so if you're having difficulty, you're struggling with something, you know that you can call out to someone and they will have your back. They will have your 6. And then sometimes, you know, we love to have a thing called straight talk. You know, you might not be willing to acknowledge your weak spot, but we do encourage accountability amongst ourselves and to speak openly on that. So yeah, that's a very brief overview of check 6, which is one of our 3 value statements. So there we go. Look, we've got plenty of success stories within our group. You know, we've got a lot of guys that come with a lot of history and all sorts of you know, backgrounds. We've had men that have battled with addictions, with gambling, with you know, weight issues, divorcees, bankruptcy, all sorts of things. And I'm going to mention not a name, but this guy will know who he is because he's on the call today. But yeah, we've got one guy that joined us just over 11 months ago now, and he's openly shared previously that he came to us in a pretty bad way. He was certainly battling with alcohol. Life was not great. He sort of didn't really know where to turn, and just through a chance walk down the street, one of our current participants spotted him and thought to send him a message and say, hey, I reckon you should come along to Solid Men. And so this guy just showed up, and for 11 months now, he just keeps showing up. In the early days, we went for I won't say a run around the river, but we did a lap of the river, which is 6.4K. And he couldn't do it without sort of stopping and walking part of it. And he had a goal, I think it was a 6-month goal. He might correct me on this, but he had a 6-month goal to try and run the entirety of the river. He achieved that goal within 3 weeks. So it was just so good to see, how quickly he could sort of get himself back on track. I know where that guy stands now, and he keeps showing up. He has been able to stay away from alcohol, and he's very proud of that fact. For that 11-month period, he now leads sessions with us. He's always there to support plenty of the other guys. One of the things that Solid Men does on the side is we support a local drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility where we run a program there, and this person also goes and heads that up for us, and is very giving of his time and has gone from a leader. And I mean, that's just one example of some of the transformations that we've seen amongst the guys getting together and supporting each other through the group. All right, that's the summary. I'm very mindful of time, so I won't continue to go through. So, because I'd love to see if there's any questions, or if there's anything I've missed. I'm sure one of the boys might point something out and say, "Hey, you didn't mention me, or you forgot something." But that's us. That's Solid Men. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Lance. Really appreciate you sharing what's going on there with Solid Men. Obviously doing amazing work building social connection and supporting blokes with a lot of challenges. I just want to lean into the faith-based aspect just briefly.
Sure.
Are you aligned with a particular denomination or church, or is it more broad than that?
It's more broad than that. Certainly a lot of us are connected through the same local church, but we don't align ourselves with any church. We've actually done some work recently. We've reached out to many of the local churches in Penrith as well. So it's not affiliated with a particular church.
Good, perfect. Thanks for covering that. Okay, anyone's got any feedback, any questions? Any of the blokes involved want to share a bit of their experience? Either stick your hand up or just jump in.
Yeah, somebody might complain about the workout I delivered to them on Saturday.
Is that, yeah? They can use this forum to complain about that if they want to.
I have to say, Lance, my arm's still sore from Saturday. But I have to say though, I've been with the group for about 4 years now, and there were times early on in life that I struggled going through family stuff with my wife got cancer and all that stuff. But these guys supported me mentally and physically, and there was one guy that brought me into the group. Didn't know then that he was going to be a great use to me. That when I heard the news, he was the guy that approached, and eventually the whole guy gathered around me and supported me in terms of the walk and stuff. So yeah, I always say that there's a purpose and a reason for us to be part of a group, and it's not that particular time, but there's a time and space that will be useful. But yeah, it was. I could share good testimony about Solid Men. That it's not just physical workout. As much as I love the burpees, but it's also the mental stuff that we share, the vulnerability that we share on the coffee chats. So yeah.
Right. Thanks for sharing that experience, Norman. Lance, or any of the other blokes, actually, what do you think the hierarchy is in terms of why most men show up? Is it to get fit? Is it to get connected? Is it to deal with a life crisis? Is it to explore their spiritual well-being? What do you think the primary or the most sort of initial driver is? Lance?
I'm going to leave it for a moment. I saw Karupi, you jumped off mute. Did you want to share?
Yeah, I thought I'd chime in, give a bit of support there, Chris. Most of the guys I've seen come through have needed just a bunch of mates, just to help them carry them through, whether it's a bit of trauma or a bit of life crisis. It's actually that mateship and companionship through those portions of their lives probably way more important. No one wanted to come for a 5:45 workout. It's probably the first thing, right? Even the guys like me who were a bit fat at the time, none of us were really looking forward to that. But we always said that the exercise is a ticket to play, because the real value of solid is actually the mateships and companionships. And similar to what the first guy was sharing from the adventures crew, what we actually have, the byproduct of solid, is that the men are able to support their families heaps better, and the wives and the partners and the children have found there's such a value in their fathers and their husbands attending this, that it's weird that even though that it takes them away from some of the home life for portions to do this, the investment is actually paying back tenfold in terms of the value out of them being better fathers, better husbands. So in terms of the family unit and community, there's heaps of payback on just spending an hour or two a week in fellowship with other guys that got going through the same sort of journey.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Karupi. You've given a really nice insight from a personal experience, but also from an understanding of what other members of the community get out of it and their wider community too. Probably got time for one more. If anyone wants to jump in, or if Lance, you want to, put someone on the spot to share.
Look, I won't do that to anyone. I'd love to pass the ball around, and I'm sure that lots of the guys here would have plenty of wonderful things and their own individual stories to share as well. So I'll leave it unless there's any other questions from someone that's outside of our group.
I suppose.
I don't mind.
That's Sniper. That's a voice, and I'm sure he will bless us with his words.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to share a little bit about just a portion of my experience so far. It's so broad, the way in which solid men have helped me and my family, but just a memory I have in the early days. So Lance and Karupi and a few others, they were there from pretty much the get-go. And at the time, my wife was in hospital with medical complications issues, and I was going through a particularly difficult time as well, and our family was under a lot of stress. And for a period of about a couple of weeks, the boys just rocked up, unbeknownst to me and my wife. And they every night there'd be someone there with a meal or some sort of food for us to have, and not have to worry about preparing dinner. And those are just the small things that you wouldn't necessarily think, oh yeah, exercise group. These guys go deeper, and it's something that I will always appreciate. But I just wanted to thank Lance, because for the first couple of years we were sort of like unsure as to what this would look like. But just in the recent times, probably the past 18 months, 2 years, Lance has really served in a way that's allowed us to become who we are now, and also aspire to serve the community even more. So just wanted to acknowledge Lance and the rest of the team on here, inspired by the shares this morning. So thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you for that share, Lester. again, and giving a really nice insight into what's going on in that community. Lance, thanks so much for coming and sharing about Solid Men. One of our roles is to have a radar out for trends that are emerging, and we've noticed in recent years there's been a real sort of steady growth around the country of these types of exercise-led groups, which aren't fitness instructors just trying to build their business. They are genuine commitments to serve and build community. And we spotted about a year or so ago that there were a couple of these groups at least that had also that link to to faith. So thank you to Lance and to Martin Turner from down in Melbourne from BAC Fitness for Blokes, who are both doing that world of building community of men around exercise with the connection to faith. It's really nice to get a flavour of actually what's going on beyond seeing what looks like a great initiative on Facebook and website. I follow you on social media, so I regularly see you guys lifting breeze blocks. But it's actually good to actually, meet you in person and hear what you're up to. We also had Wayne earlier, and that whole world of like adventure therapy. It's really interesting to listen out for the different groups, the sort of connecting men through that. There's a great project in New South Wales called Men in Flight, which is dealing with men's mental health through fly fishing and adventure. And Wayne, his group is focused on four-wheel driving. And for our third presentation today, we're now going to move on to another phenomenon which is even bigger than Christian-based fitness groups and adventure therapy. It's the man walk, which is men walking and talking, has just exploded as a phenomena in the last 3 or 4 years. Many of them are connected to a national group called the Man Walk. Many of them are independent groups operating around the country off their own steam. One of the biggest ones that I've come across is the Penrith Walk and Talk group, which attracts at times over 500 blokes on I think it's a Thursday night in the summer. But I'll stop talking and let Billy do the talking, because he knows a lot more about it than I do, and that's why we've invited him. Billy Beggs from the Penrith Men's Walk and Talk group.
Yeah, hi, thanks Glenn, and thanks for that great build-up. Probably don't get the 500 men, we got 306, but yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, I just want to share the screen here. How can I do that?
Should be the green button in the bottom of your screen, Billy. If you can
Yep,
see it.
that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
And I don't see it. Here we go.
Cool.
So I had a PowerPoint presentation ready, but I mixed up 2 of my slides. So what I want to do is maybe go to the end of the PowerPoint to pick up the slide that should have been first. So let me try and do that. So this is a video, maybe could introduce it better than I could ever introduce it. Takes a minute or 2, but I hope you enjoy it.
Billy, before you start, just want to enlarge your screen as well. That little television icon right at the bottom, because you were just getting.
Do that. Can't see how I do that, Glenn.
Bottom of the slide, there's a little, almost like a television icon. There's 4 squares, and then alongside from that, there's like a little TV icon on a pedestal. You got notes. That's
right. So let me try this again then.
Just so we get your PowerPoint on full screen rather than all the background notes as well.
So
Liam, jump in if you can guide Billy better than I'm trying to.
Yep. So this is what I wanted to share. This is a YouTube video. It's not happening for me.
Is there any chance you can pop the link in the chat for that, and then we might be able to share that for you?
Right. Sorry about this, guys.
That's fine. Happens.
Maybe I should leave out the videos, but it was a very good video to share to start the presentation.
If you want to share the link in the chat box, Liam, maybe I'll Just copy and paste it.
It doesn't seem to be letting me do that.
Is it actually on YouTube? Okay, if you can't do that, Billy, then maybe just crack on and we'll see if we can work it out in the background. Not sure.
You might have lost Billy in connection.
Hey.
Everything's going wrong at once.
So yeah, Billy, if you can hear us, you're frozen. And he's dropped off. There we go. So I'm gonna just
I think I've found the video actually on
let's-
Facebook. I might be able to check that
okay.
up.
Billy, you're back. You need to unmute.
2017, I lost.
Oh. Am I there now?
You're back again, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a very slow connection here. Sorry, guys. And that connection didn't seem to work. So I'll maybe just talk through what we do.
Sure.
We started about 4 years ago. We started because of the death by suicide of one of our founding members' son. He was 17, took his own life, and it basically left this guy in a situation that he couldn't cope with things. He was finding it very difficult. Went back to work after a week and a half, and just struggled. And in the end, he had to put his hand up and go for some support. He booked himself into a clinic and spent 3 or 4 weeks there recovering. And when he came out, we wanted to re-engage with him again, connect with him, but not in going to the pub. We thought we'd go for a walk. And so we invited him and a few other guys to go for a walk around the Penrith River. And it was great value for him. And some of the other guys who also went, it was great value for them. They, oh, sorry. That's that video playing. How can I stop that? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you'll just need to close the either the
Yeah, but
tab
just
or-
closed it there.
Yeah, go. Carry on. We got you.
So basically, a few other guys came in the walk, and we found that a few of the other guys were struggling as well. So we thought, that they seem to be getting something out of this. Why don't we do this next week? So we agreed to meet up the next week. We invited a few other guys to come along, and slowly but surely, we found that other guys needed support. So we decided to do this every week, and slowly but surely those numbers built up. So instead of just being a walk for a few friends, it opened up into a walk for the community. And word started getting out, and lots of people started coming along. And we heard that from these people that there was great value in coming along. They were getting great things from it. For instance, one of these guys here, he hadn't socially connected with anyone in maybe 20 odd years. He had a persistent mental health issue. But coming to the walk, he was able to connect with other people. And as I say, he was able then to tell his story to other people who found it interesting and found that they were traveling on the same sort of road that he was. And they started connecting up with each other. This here is another group of people who came for the first time. So this was about 5 weeks ago. These 4 guys came down for the first time. They came for different reasons. One had a physical condition where he couldn't walk very much. So he comes down for our walk, which starts at 6 o'clock, but we gather at 5 o'clock at the coffee club. We have free coffee. And this was his chance then to meet other people that he wouldn't be able to meet because he couldn't walk. The other guy to the left at the front, he's my new next door neighbor who I invited down, and he comes regularly as well. And the two young guys at the back were, one of those was struggling, and the other guy had heard about the walk, so he brought his friend down to see if he could get some support on the walk. As I said, the walk's been going for about 4 years, and we thought, well, every now and again, let's do something different on the walk. So we have sort of themed nights whereby, for instance, this one here is a tradies night. So it's not only for tradies, but we encourage tradies from the area to come along. And the first year we've done that there, we probably got about 50 guys come along who were tradies. So a local company called J.K. Williams heard about this here, and they knew that they had some tradies in their company who were struggling as well. So the following year they said, look, could we sponsor this walk, and which would encourage the guys from our company to come along to the walk? We said, yep, that's great. So this has turned into a regular tradies night, which we have twice a year, which J.K. Williams sponsor. And their guys come along, and lots of other guys come along. They give out free stuff like those free hard hats, those free yellow shirts. We have a barbecue, and there's other sorts of giveaways that the guys get when they come along. We also have nights that celebrate young people. So we have a Gen Z night, and we get young guys from like sporting clubs and schools coming along. And we put on a barbecue for them, and we try and get like a guest speaker who would relate to those sort of young people to come along. So we've had people from players from Penrith Panthers coming along. We've had people from Headspace coming along and talking to them. Another popular night is Oldies Nights, which relates to the older guys, but again, it's not exclusive to those guys. We have an Indigenous night. We celebrate things like Mental Health Month, Are You OK Day, and Christmas. We see here we've got a guy dressed up in his Christmas garb. We also celebrate things like Movember, encourage guys to grow a mow for that. This was taken on the very first week of Movember, when a lot of the guys didn't have a good mow growing. So we furnished them with little plastic ones just for this photograph. But again, that encourages a bit of fun and a bit of lighthearted banter. During COVID, whenever we couldn't walk, we done Zoom meetings, and we had lots of people coming along to those, and we connected with a lot of other groups, not only in the area, but even the Gold Coast Men's Walk and Talk attended that. So that was great to keep in contact during COVID, and it's what the guys wanted to do because they'd had that social connection through the walk. They wanted to keep that going because they weren't seeing those friends. And a lot of guys, as I said, struggle on the walk. And I was the only one with a sort of a mental health background. And, people could see that I was being a bit overburdened. So a lot of these guys, they put their hand up to say, look, if we could get some training, we could support you and indeed support other people on the walk, and indeed support our family and people that we work with. So we put this out to the community, and one of the local clubs gave us a grant for $10,000 to train our guys. So we put 60 guys already through the sort of basic mental health training, and a further 25 through mental health first aid, which is really helping us on the group. It's really bringing guys together even more now when they know they're able to help other guys. And from that there was a great project, the Blue Tree project, which I'm trying to click onto, and is it going to come? Yes. So this was an initiative that one of our guys, whenever he was on holiday, he spotted this blue tree, found out what it was all about, and thought we could do with one of those in Penrith. So we asked a few of these guys who he made friendships with on the walk if they would be interested in getting something like this up and going. So between them, they approached council to get permission to paint this particular tree. They went to Bunnings to get paint. They went to Kennard Hard to get a hoist to lift them up, and all the equipment to spray the tree with the paint. And, that was just formed through these guys who had never met each other before, but who had, come together on this walk, found new friendships, and now are doing wonderful things within the community. They meet up outside of the walk, and, they have their coffees, they go for meals, and they enjoy each other's company. They meet each other's family outside the walk. So it's a great encouragement for people to come together to get that mateship. And we have a tagline where no man walks alone. So if anyone comes to the walk, they're always teamed up with someone to walk with. And if we see anyone that is walking alone, you know, someone will go over to them and ask them, look, are they comfortable to walk alone, or do they want to be part of the group? We don't have like a circle of people sitting around and telling each other what their issues or problems are. Instead, we find it easier for the guys to walk in a group of 2 or 3 or 4, and it's in a moving environment, which is always changing when you're walking, and it encourages people then to offload to that smaller group. They find it easier to do that. So if I just can get into this last slide, again, it's a little video which I hope plays, and it's some of the guys who are attending the group, and it's what they get from it. So let's see if this works. Sorry, it isn't, it's the wrong video. So that was the wrong video again. But again, a lot of guys coming along, they tell us why they come along. So we have it's either social, physical, or mental, or 2 or 3 of those things. So for the social aspect, it's meeting new people. And a lot of guys are lonely, so this is a great way of meeting new friends. For the mental health, they come along to get that support. They don't want to go to a psychologist or a counselor. They find it easier to come here, and it's a first sort of line for them where they get that support to go to that next step, to get the to go to the counselor, the psychologist. And we find that works a treat for our guys because of my connections and a few of the other guys. We find it, we have a list of support groups within the area that they can talk to. And then there's the physical side of it, where guys come along to walk around, to get that exercise that they're maybe not getting. Some guys, they try and beat their previous time or maintain their previous time. Other guys come along to lose weight or to maintain the weight that they have lost. So it's all those things for guys. It's successful. We get great support from the community. And I think that's what does make it successful. Lots of local businesses sponsor our pre-walk coffees. And yeah, it's just a great thing that is exploded in other areas. And we help support those other groups to start up. So that's basically our group in a nutshell. If I can stop sharing. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Great, thanks, Billy. Thanks for persevering through your technical challenges. I think Liam's identified the video online. So
did he play that?
Yes.
We're just at time, so I'm going to ask him to share it in the chat box.
Oh,
for
right. Okay. Sorry.
To watch. I would like to leave. We have hit time now,
yeah.
So people are free to go. Obviously, you're free to go. You don't need my permission, but the actual official timing is complete. For those who are sticking around for a few minutes, I'd welcome any questions or comments or feedback. I don't want to just cut Billy off right there. So any questions or comments or feedback from anyone who's online? While people are just considering, I just want to ask something, Billy. You spoke in one of the other sessions about how you would reach out to different communities of men who maybe weren't as engaged in the group. And one way you obviously do that is by saying this night is for you. It's a tradies night or it's an oldies night. But you also talked about actually going into communities and sort of getting a group going within that community first before they engage. Could you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so lucky enough, I work in a community setting, so I'm able to approach community groups, and we found that we weren't getting many people from other cultures to come along. So what I do is I go into like an Indian group, Chinese group, and all sorts of different groups, African groups, and I talk to the men who gather there. I tell them about this great walk. And what we've been doing is, what I've been trying to do is get them, first of all, to have like a walk themselves or a connection themselves, and then to get 1 or 2 of them to start coming along to our group. And we're finding that is now starting to pay dividends, where we see these other cultures starting to come into the group and make new friends. And then that goes back to their community, and they'll encourage other people to come from their community.
Yeah. What is it that helps break down the barrier then? Is it that they get to sort of try it with some blokes from the same background that they already know first, rather than just
exactly? So it's about building that rapport amongst themselves, building the rapport with me to see that I'm not some alien, you know, I might have a different color skin or whatever. Come along, and we're all the same, and it's starting to pay dividends big time.
Yeah, so really nice example of a way to make what has become a very mainstream group inclusive to different groups of men.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think what helps is we have a great support, and we have a great sort of leadership group. A couple of us are involved in community work, so we're able to get out into the community and promote this at every sort of drop of the hat, you know. And I think that has helped that momentum to going. You know, I talk to maybe 5 or 6 different groups a day, and people, you know, some have heard of it, some haven't. So it's just getting a snowball effect, and that's why we get so many men coming.
Yeah, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but to wrap up, this whole section has been on how does how does action help build social connection. I'd really welcome your sort of closing thoughts on why the walking part is important. Why would 300 men not turn up to Penrith Men's Talk, but they will turn up to Penrith Men's Walk and then talk when they're there? Well, why is that walking action part the magic sauce?
Yeah, look, it's what other guys have said there. It's, we're not meeting in a room. We're not all looking sort of eyeball to eyeball. We're outside. We're walking shoulder to shoulder, and so you don't have to look at the person you're speaking to. You can just look forward and talk. I think that's what it is. Free coffees also help before the walk, so that charges the endorphins.
Right. Yeah, and I can speak as I came along on, I think what was probably the one of the coldest and wettest nights of last year. And I was all the things you've said, I was really well welcomed. You saw a bloke walk with me. What I wasn't expecting was that about 80% of the blokes that night, they just came for the coffee and the talk because it was so damn cold. So it was just me and a few other blokes on the walk that particular night, but they still damn showed up, right? Regardless
they did every week, every Thursday evening, guys. Okay.
Billy,
yes.
Can I ask you a question? I'm in the men's shed on the Mornington Peninsula at the southern end where all the wealthy people live, and none of them walk.
Oh.
But it's a very social shed. It's quite good. I'm interested in starting a walking group in Rye, RYE. There's a community centre in Rye. And I thought, while you were talking, I was thinking I could perhaps go in there and offer to start a walking group. Is there any special things I should get from you about how to do that and how to develop it?
Look, for us, I think all the ducks lined up in that we had 6 blokes who are overseeing this. So you do need more than one person. 3 would be ideal, but we have 6. And 4 of the guys are connected with local businesses in the area and through the sporting connections. 2 of us are linked to the community group. So we have this great sort of way into our local community through all those connections. And we have a fantastic walk. You know, it's around this beautiful river. That's important to have that. It's 6.5K or just under, which again is just about ideal. It takes about an hour and 10 minutes to walk it. So that's a good sort of, that's like a counseling session, you know, length of time. So those sort of things all lined up to make this, I think, the success that it is. And if you could replicate that in your area, I think it would be a big thing going forward.
Thank you.
Right. Don't take it all on board yourself.
Right. Any more? John, I'll let you just, if you can make it a quick point, John, I'm sorry because we're coming out of time, but go ahead, John, while I post some things in the chat box.
Just quickly, I facilitated the Man Walk group in Gladstone, started off in 2018. One of the things that helped promote it was getting in touch with the Man Walk merchandising people. Wearing a cap, singlet, shirts, jumpers really helps promote it, promoting it on Facebook. Once the women started seeing the benefits the men were bringing home, they started spreading it for us, and it just grew and grew. One of the things about walking and talking is you're actually activating the left and right hemisphere of the brain. It loosens a man's tongue and gives them an opportunity to share and seek support, and we offered the support that they were looking for.
Yeah. Right, John. I'm just going to clarify that the Penrith Men's Walk and Talk is independent of the Man Walk, but they also do their own great merchandise. I am a proud owner of an orange colour of my favourite football team, Blackpool FC, an orange Penrith Men's Walk and Talk T-shirt, which I picked up when I was there. So they get the merchandise piece, even if they're a separate brand to the Man Walk. Thanks for that, John, and thanks for all you're doing and continue to do for men. Thanks, Billy. A wonderful presentation. Thanks, Lance and Wayne, and thanks for all of you for participating. We've learned a lot more about how social connection is built amongst men through action. We've certainly learned that shoulder to shoulder doesn't end at shoulder to shoulder. It also extends to heart to heart. I've learned a lot today. Thanks for being part of it. Stick around if you want to, or join us again later. We've got a session at 2 p.m. on social drinking and mateship. We've got a brilliant session at 3:30 looking at building projects at a community level with the Neighbours Everyday campaign and the 1000 Play Streets campaign. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to run about a 30-minute session on our guide to how to help a mate doing it tough. But I'm going to go for a coffee now and get ready for the next session. Stick around or stay and chat if you want to. That's up to you.